Hi, hello, happy Sabbath and Shabbat Shalom. Well, I had a very busy and productive week this week. It'll make for a short report because it took several days to do one or two things, but in the end, now see all this stuff right here? That was right there. And that used to have a whole bunch of dirty, rotten hay in it, which is right in there. The reason it's in there is because it also had plastic trash and stuff I didn't want to add to compost. And it's potentially got rocks in it. And since tomorrow I'm going to burn trash, I'm going to burn that with it. And in case you can't see it, we'll zoom in on it. Uh-oh. Anyway, there you go. So that's just a bunch of hay and straw that I come out of here with, unlike the pile that I have over there. Now, what I was pointing at right here is one of them little mustard-like plants that are growing around here, and I transplanted this one from out in the field. It was right there where that bare spot is. So it was there, and it's pretty much, from what I can tell, it's the same as this one I've shielded in here before, which is hard to see through the mesh of the fence, the cage. But since I didn't want to try to move that one, I just put a cage over it, and I didn't want to put a cage over that, so I moved it out here. And it's grown considerably just in a few days since it's been here. Also, early in the past week, I had put in some garlic. Some of them are growing up. Something had been nibbling the tops off of them, so I put some chicken wire and stuff over it to slow down the critters from devouring it. We were supposed to get some good rain. We didn't get much, so I watered everything. Now, if you remember, of course, you see the vine residue from the cucumbers, and there's some of the residue from the basil. There's probably going to be basil growing like weeds around here soon. Over here we had a couple pots with tomato plants in it. Well, tomatoes died, and because they died in the frost, pots were left open, and so, well, I moved the pots over here. And I first, although, see, I got all this cleaned out. I'll get to that here in a moment. These two tomato pots, as you notice, have plants in them. Those are elephant garlics. Some are doing better, some are not. Hopefully they'll do well. This one was already here, and it has a couple garlic in it. There's supposed to be a bunch of red garlics in here, but I don't see very many of them. As you see, my lentils have taken quite a hit from the cold, but if you look real close, they're not really wiped out totally. Some of them are still coming up from the ground, so they're not totally destroyed despite the freeze, which was probably because they were too dry. The yarrow didn't suffer anything from it, and I re-watered everything over here though since then. In theory, there's supposed to be garlic in here too. If you look real close, there's 1, 2, 3, but something looks like somebody bit the top off of that one. Here's one right here. There's one right there. Some of them may come up, some of them may not. Of course, the sage seems to be immune to this weather at the moment. Not sure how freeze resistant it is. It looks overall much perkier and happier than it was before. These two pots had the bell peppers in them. I just moved them out of the way temporarily to put those pots in their place. Eventually I'll have to move it all because of the fact that I'm going to go ahead and do some greenhouse work over here. That's part of the reason all this stuff is over here, but not so much exactly why. It's multiple reasons. And one of the reasons is because we were blessed with a little chest freezer for $75 from the thrift store. I'm not sure how well this is looking on the camera, so I'm going to add a little light to the situation, see if that helps any. Let me see. Well, it looks like most of the ice finally froze. This thing's got a really good insulation capacity. So I've got to use the shop vac and dry that out. People say, well, why not use the drain? Because I want the drain to dry out too. And then I'm going to seal the drain with silicone. Now this thing was only $75. It does have some problems here where it cracks and leaks. And I need to go ahead and seal all the edges. I think somebody put a new gasket on it. But I don't think the new gasket accommodates some of the problems with the way this is. So I'm going to have to do something to clean up the surface that's cracking and stuff and make it where it's smooth and flat so the gasket can work. Now originally this thing came with a light in it, but whatever reason somebody cut the light part off of it and therefore it's not lit. But since it's where it's sitting, I've got lights. That's not a big deal. I'll just go ahead and, turn on these lights if I need to look into it. It's a beat up old freezer, but it runs. So for 75 bucks, as long as it keeps running. I sanded a lot of the rust off the front. I'm going to try to spray some phosphoric acid on there and kind of parkerize the surface of it a little bit, just to slow down the rusting, on top of course, sealing up the hole. I do have the plug to it. You see the little dot down here? I just don't have it in there right now because I want everything to dry out first. So I'm going to put the plug in. I'm going to put it in with silicone. Big Red's up here because of other issues we'll go into after a while. But Big Red did get some exhaust repairs. We went to a guy in a local town and he replaced some of the exhaust system, put new hangers and new pipe in there. It's potentially got problems, electrical problems with the new oxygen sensor or something, because since we got back it's having problems with the instrument cluster. Temperature gauge is jumping up and down all of a sudden. We don't know if they're related, but it happened right after we got the exhaust system plugged in. So whatever it is, it will have to be looked into. And it could also be some other part of the system that just chose that moment in time to go bad. So, there was, of course, a workbench over there, if you remember, where that is. Just like there used to be a bunch of this. In fact, some of what we're standing on right here was in there. And that's why it's all clean gravel now that I used to level that with a pallet. So to get it up where it'd be dry underneath. Didn't want it on the ground to get condensation and rot faster. Of course, some of my tools got rained on, but they're pretty tough tools, so hopefully they won't have been hurt by that. The wood, the timber that was in here. This is timber that's hopefully eventually going to become part of the kitchen someday. And then the epoxy is for the barn someday. In the meantime, they're here on a table. I got that table for $5 at the thrift store, and it's perfect size for this application. And eventually some of this other stuff will probably get stacked under it or around it. I don't know. Somebody will get moved to the shop. Anyhow, so moving down to the shop. Ever onward, ever forward. Again, everything here has all happened since the past Sabbath, so I was pretty busy, but it took a whole day just to get that garage cleaned out and set up and get that freezer off the truck. The whole thing is, I took the truck into to be worked on Sunday evening, and then by Tuesday it was ready. So come Tuesday we went over there for other reasons and it was ready, so we picked it up anyhow, and that was all good. This thing has a problem. A little problem is this tire's got a leak. That would be a little problem. Big problem is it no longer has a spare. Where it went, when it went, I don't know. But it went, and it's gone. Now there's just a cable hanging out. Now the cable wasn't hanging out like it is now. I rolled the cable out so I could look at it real close. I even made a report on what's wrong with this picture if you look on there. It's all about just that issue. And jury's still out as to what exactly happened, but whatever did exactly happen, tire's gone. Anyhow, so for now, we're pretty much just waiting on decision on whether we're going to fix that one, replace it with another one, or replace it with some other form of tire retaining mechanism, as well as getting another rim and tire for it. We'll arrange that after sometime Monday or later when all the shops are open. Some of these pieces of metal were up where that goat shed was, and it took me a long time to get them down here, but they're all down here. And I have determined that I'm going to, these used to be dividers, wall cubicle thingies in a office. It was an H&R Block office. Well, now I'm going to use them as shelves, because they've got these little uniform thingies on them here, little knockouts, and I got these knockouts, and I got different ways I can mount shelves to them. And that will make them way more useful to me than anything else I can think of doing with them. Now, the workbench that was up at the shop, there it is. I pulled it back down here. It rolls real well on those wheels. Then, Thursday, I believe it was. Yeah. Thursday night, I think it was. I went and they were throwing out a bunch of this wood in a dumpster. And I was like, man, look at all this free wood. And there's like at least 25 pieces, anywhere from like 10 or 12 feet all down to like 4 feet or something. Maybe less than 4 feet. But anyhow, all that wood was just there. Free for the taking. And so, hey, yeah, I'm going to take it. You know, I've lived poor, and scrapping is kind of part of my life now. I don't particularly care to aim at the neighbors to violate their right of privacy, so I'm going to aim away from them momentarily while they go by. By the way, if anybody's wondering why the point of view might look strange right now, it's because I always hold this thing just about waist level. That's the only really comfortable way I can hold this camera. I don't recall if I completely finished this construction up to the point that it is previous to last Sabbath. I don't think I did. But I do know that I did finish it up to the point it is now. I got the roof screwed down, got all the sheet metal screwed in, except the hem at the bottom I still need to put a little reinforcement in. And I do need to come around this thing with the fence wire still. It's getting there. All the extra tools over there, I still need to mount. They are there to be used to put the fence wire up and a few other details. Then they'll go back to the shop. This is both some of the leftover metal from what I didn't use out of that old metal shed, some of the privacy divider thingies that I just pointed out that I'm going to use shelves, and then some of that galvanized angle iron stuff that a previous owner had left here. And so just a nice little stack of metal there out of the way that was in a hurry so I could get it out of that place, clean it all up, because leaving it on the ground shades out the plants and keeps them from growing, kills them off. This metal gate may or may not be terribly instantaneously obvious, especially if I'm not pointing at it. Because I just realized my hand was drooping and I wasn't looking. But anyhow, that metal gate has been up at the house for a while. I brought it back down here after I unloaded the freezer because where I thought I was going to use it temporarily at the house, I didn't. I did use it momentarily to unload the freezer. That's done, so it's down here as a safe place to put it out of the way for now. I do plan on using it for other things, just not where I originally thought I would. Of course, the batteries I'd already moved up every previous week. Pretty much that, I believe, is the bulk of what got done. Except I did buy a little pasta making machine, powered, makes spaghetti, makes macaroni, I believe. Yeah, it makes lots of different shapes of extruded pasta rather than rolled pasta. So now I have a pasta roller and I have a pasta extruder. I did find, wasn't even looking for it, but I found this battery cable that came off of my track loader that will now hopefully become my replacement ground cable for my portable welder. Because the original ground cable was too pathetic to really work. It burned up just being used, and so I need to make a new one, and that's what I'm going to do. I don't know. Oh yeah, I got a whole bunch more. I got a whole bunch more angle iron steel. Didn't cost me but like $15 for like 300 or 400 pounds of steel. So yeah, building up quite a reservoir. Hopefully someday I'll have enough to build a greenhouse out of. Probably take me about 10 tons of it. I don't know, maybe 20 tons, because it's going to be a big greenhouse. It'll take a lot. I don't think I can show much more except this. Some of this stuff is from up at the garage, like the chop saw and that router edger modification tool. Don't think this has looked any different from last Sabbath, really. Pretty much a lot of things in here look just about the same. Even if they are different, I can't even tell you myself. But that's the long and short of it. I can't think of anything else I've actually done as far as little increments or anything. It was a busy week, took a lot of work to do it, but it didn't show a lot of things. Some places the change is drastic, especially if you know what it looked like before. Other places the changes at best are subtle and otherwise completely indetectable. But anyhow, that is all I can think of to report this week. So until next Sabbath, hopefully you all have a blessed week, and we will give you a report then on any other developments that we get. So until then, again, Shabbat Shalom. Have a wonderful blessing of the week, and we'll see you when you see you.